I kind of had to learn this. I came up here with these ideas of it's either going to go this way or it ain't going. And I'm going to stop it all. But it didn't work that way. And when I looked at the bill, I had my images of the payday loan industry, my preconceived notions, all of that. But then I started to read more and started to look. If there wasn't a market, they would not exist. If people wouldn't go, they would not exist. So I had to put that personal responsibility component in there. So with your testimony, I heard, like, if it wasn't, I guess, the 36%, like none of it was any good. Am I kind of correct with that? And I'm not trying to set you up.
No, our concern is that we believe that payday reform has happened, and we wait another 13 years to do something about it again, when people are struggling right now with the interest rates, and we believe that's an important piece that needs to not be overlooked.
Okay, and I get that, But I've also learned here, like, it's steps in doing stuff, and sometimes stuff doesn't happen as good as fast as we may want it. But I've looked at this bill and I saw it as a step with the rollover part. I've got a city in their shopping center. I swear it's like 7 payday loan, title loan, and I can drop all sorts of loan places in there. I don't necessarily like it. Like the senator said, I hope I don't ever get to the point where I have to use it. But I tell you what, it ain't all poor people, because I've sat out there and I've seen some very nice cars from some people from most people 2 paychecks away from being in the poorhouse any damn way. But that's just the one. But I saw the need there. But then I looked at the bill and I saw the amount about the rollover amount, and I saw some of that from stopping, because that's what people were getting trapped in. And so I'm like, hey, I got to make this decision of, do I wish they would go away? Some of them I do. I haven't filed a bill to ban it because they have a legal right to exist, just like I don't like the rodeo at the state fair. I didn't file a bill to stop rodeos in the state. You know, I kind of gotta work with that too. But I see some positive things. I think if this passed, it's better than the current system that we're using now. And it's a small step. It's not to maybe where you want to go, or maybe in my heart where I want to be, but maybe next year or further down the line that could be something else. I think there's another component in here, and this is to the senator. I need to ask you. There was a piece about payday loan people being able to then petition the court and then get people locked up over their payday loan. Is there something in here that stops it? Is it the part on line 69 about the fair debt collection practices?
I've never seen that in anything. It takes away the bullying and all that, but
Okay.
calls late at night and stuff like that.
Okay, but
but I've never seen that. But as far as debt collection, if they don't pay their bill, then it can be accelerated, and they can do that. But under this, there's no way it's ever going to be over the original amount plus the fee charged. And as far as the 36%, if you do 36% on $100, that's under 70 cents. Under 70 cents. So is anybody going to stay in business to make a loan on $100 for an unsecured loan for 70 cents? That's unrealistic to think that they can stay in business at 36%, which is less than 70 cents. I mean, $36 a year, divide that by 12, come down $3 a month, 70 cents a week. Is anybody up here? And I went to a church organization one time and said, if it's such a bad deal, why don't you all get into the business, you know? If you can make money do it. And we've had credit unions try it, they've been unsuccessful. Had banks try it, they've been unsuccessful. And you can't do it at less than 70 cents a week for $100. $3.50 for $500 for a week. And so there is, granted, don't like them, found my kids doing it, I may have to be really upset, but there is that certain need that's out there. The other thing that I didn't mention, that when they were outlawed in another state, North Carolina, South Carolina, then they set up organization out in international waters, boats off international waters. And then you called and you got your payday loan. You then supplied them with your name, address, social security number, bank account. That went to South Africa. And South Africa then transferred the money into your account. Now, with data breaches being what they are right now, do you really want somebody in South Africa having your address, your bank account number? There's going to be certain people that are going to still probably go back and find another way of getting another loan. It's against the law for them to do it, but we can't prohibit that. This is the first time in 13 years we've had a chance to truly reform it. And I hate to think that. I hate to think we say no and you can go ahead and do business the way you've been doing it. I hate to think you say, well, if you vote against it, you're saying 6 rollovers are okay. I mean, so y'all know all that. It's a chance to do something, and I worked too hard, too long trying to get something done.
And I guess ultimately what I was saying is this seems better to me than the current system that we have. It's not ideal, it's not perfect, but I think it's a step in that direction. And I don't think we can just kind of discount this because it may not be at that certain percentage. Maybe we get the percentage at a different year, different time, but the component about the rollover is huge. But thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative English.
Thank you, Roy, real quick.
Proceed.
Thank you. I want to thank you personally for coming out. The fighter in me always says that if you wouldn't have shown up as a representative at the other end set from the very beginning, you probably wouldn't be sitting here today trying to move in that direction of reform. So please keep coming back and please keep putting pressure on us.
Representative Minton.
Thank you. Aside from the 36%, what else about the bill do you not like?
There's nothing else about the bill that I
That's
don't
the
like.
only thing. Okay. And I think we've all kind of alluded to this, but, you know, there's a saying we bandy about here a little bit, and it goes something along the lines of, don't let the quest for perfection become the enemy of the good. And my response, and I understand your concerns that what happens with a bill that passes, and we all get to pat ourselves on the back and say, look at what this great job we've done with reform, and you're saying, maybe the emperor doesn't have some clothes on that front, and I respect that. But my response is, but why not do something? Because frankly, at this point in the game, this is the only train leaving the station, and I get that it's not a very good-looking train in your opinion. I don't understand why I don't want to make sure that we catch it. Can you help me?
As I said, we feel that the interest rate is of utmost importance, that it's just right up there with the rollovers, and we are concerned about that. Look at us, we got reform, and nobody is caring about it anymore. It's too important. Ever since we did signature collection in 2012 and hundreds of thousands of people asked that it be capped at 36%, all of those people are still wanting to see that happen.
And I appreciate that, and I do, and I agree with Representative English. Is, hey, continue to come back, and I appreciate your advocacy along those lines. But I suspect that I would support this bill because I think that something is better than nothing. And if I may also, the sponsor, I don't know if you can answer this question for me or not, but do you have any idea about sort of the percentages of these loans, I don't know, I guess loans that end up going to collection or going to lawsuit, or how
Usually about
that?
a 6%. I know these companies usually face about a 6 to 8% loss ratio
Okay,
of their, and I have no idea. Normally they turn them over to collection agencies.
Yeah,
If there's any way. I don't know if Division of Finance had that figure or not. And it's kind of interesting, a couple of years ago, there was a survey, and the average person making the loan, receiving the loan, was like $40-some thousand a year.
the average income of the?
Yeah, and they normally average, prior to this, they were averaging about 3 rollovers. The average loan was 3 rollovers, and the average loan was under $300.
Okay, and.
Division of Finance got some interesting facts on that.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
All right, Representative Gadsden.
To inquire,
Proceed.
kind of a bifurcated one for both of you. First of all, there's going to be no rollovers with this new option, and before there were 6, currently there's 6. And the maximum interest rate is,
Be set by competition, that they cannot charge, the maximum they can, if we set it at 20%, then people would automatically maybe go to 20, oh, it's okay to go to 20. And that, so, there wasn't really a need to set any because they could never get there. And if they wanted to charge $100 for 100, they could, but what's the odds of staying in this competition like that? But, so there's no, the max is $35 they could ever sell, or 35%.
so there was one of the words I was looking for also, competition. You know, the good representative down there said he had a facility, you know, a strip mall that had 5 or 6 or 7 of them in there, so there's gonna be a lot of competition there. So, you said something earlier also that you were running, so you were talking about the original bill, not the House Committee substitute.
Right, the bill that I am aware of, takes away that cap of the $75 over the 2-week period. That's my understanding that that's how it reads right now. So that's what we're concerned about, taking
Well,
away
yeah, I
the
think
cap.
there's been some,
There wasn't, I didn't see, I took it out because there wasn't a need for it in there, because it should never get there with no rollovers. And that was the purpose of it originally, was if you had 6 rollovers, it could get really, really expensive. So they did want to put a cap on it, I guess you did 13 years ago, I guess it's probably when it happened.
and just one other question for you. If there's no rollovers and everything's set by competition, and they can do it once, rather than, I don't see how a loan of $500 could get to be, you know, one thing we can't legislate is morality. So unless you can lay hands on all those people and get them not to do another one, and then another one, and another one, that's something we can't legislate. But if you have a better option on that, and the only reason why I ask you that is because you're here testifying against the bill. I think they've done a lot of hammering on this, and I think the horseshoe fits pretty good. So unless you have a better option, this is very good. I mean, just the example I gave, a percentage rate on a bounce check, substantially below that. And I think that's what everybody can relate to in here. Somebody along the way has done an overdraft or a bounce check or something. It's like, you know, that's Kevin's example. It's like, oh my word, $100 on 70, you know? So I think this is a great bill, and if you could have something different, I'm sure the senator would be more than happy to walk you down the way. Wouldn't he?
And something that there is part of the industry is working against the bill. They would like to see the bill killed so they can continue the rollovers. And that's basically the internet part of this. And I don't know, that could be regulated under this. I'm not sure how the finance can do it, but that is a part of the industry that's trying to kill that because they like the rollovers.
One other question, are there any secular, non-secular, other organizations that you know of that are against this? Christian-based or non-Christian-based, secular or non-secular?
I know that Jobs with Justice, Metropolitan Congregations United, and Communities Creating Opportunity, sort of all the kind of progressive grassroots, looking out for the people kind of organizations are against it without a cap on interest rates. And I would say you all are somewhat attacking me about the 36% interest rate, but the senator himself said, I saw a need and I amended it to say 35%. So I don't think it's so.
So he amended it to 35%. You said maximum 36%.
Right, we've just always named it as a maximum of 36% because we feel like that's just an acceptable rate. So what I'm saying is I'm responding to the bill as we saw it. So.
Someone that does the Silver Hairs, I've got all kinds of letters from the Silver Hairs, and they were here in the council today, and it's one of their priorities, and so they've all been in thanking me for doing it. So the Silver Hair representatives are very appreciative of the legislation.
All right, Representative Mayfield.
To inquire.
Okay.
Pastor, I want to thank you for waiting for us. Appreciate that. Until about a year ago, I was in the banking industry for 15 years, and I have a lot of sympathy for what you're talking about. I went to theology school. I think theology school is a lot like going to medical school. They tell you that you can't save everybody, unfortunately. We had a pilot program in Kansas City that was trying to help folks, just like what you were talking about, that got sucked up in the payday loan trap. They'd go and do the loan, and they go and they roll it over, and then they go get another loan from another, and it snowballs. It didn't turn out very well. Do you want to know why?
Sure.
Because what would happen is they set up not-for-profits, and the not-for-profit would pay off the loan, and they would do a loan, and the bank would be like the broker, and we would work with them and try to do financial literacy. Mm-hmm. And what ended up happening is, and we would say, we're going to do a small loan to pay off the payday loan, very small interest rate, and then we're going to do automatic debit, so that way you don't worry about writing a check in case you forget. We'll set up on your payment, your paydays or whatever. About a third of the people in the program, within a month, we started getting return fees because the money wasn't in their account. So they continue to do, you know, the things that got them in trouble before, and it's kind of like, you know, past behavior is usually an indicator of future events. I filed a bill last year actually to reduce the rate to 36%. And I reached out to some people to try to get some supportive feedback, and it was like crickets, and I was kind of surprised by that. And I just want to let you know that I do have a concern. I know we can't regulate every industry to do exactly what we want them to do, but I really want to work with you and try to figure out a solution instead of, you know, just, you know, criticizing. I don't know that I'll have all the answers for you either, but I'm willing to work with you. I just want you to know that. Thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, thank you, Representative England.
Thank you. This is for both of you. The one problem I think you have, and this is so much better than what we were looking at a couple years ago, for the consumer. And to your point, I think you might have co-signed on that one, this that they included here, that Joan Bray, who is one of the most liberal people I've ever met, brought to me to do to protect consumers, and I appreciate you taking that. I know that that was probably a struggle. But my question is, the renewal, that they're gonna sign a thing saying they haven't got any place. You pointed at it, but I was talking about somebody about maybe amending that and putting some type of penalty provision for, a bigger penalty provision for lying, but then you're doing this to people that are already down on their luck, and I don't know if that's gonna fly. I mean, if you put them in jail, or if you fine them for somebody that can't get $100, but to the point earlier, 36% of the people in America, even gainfully employed, cannot get up $1,000 right now. Not $1,000. So there's a lot of people in that market that if they have one bad month, laid off, sick, kids are sick, they're desperate. But my question is, should we put any more penalty? That's the only thing I think people will lie and say, no, I don't have any more than the same place, and they've got them. How do we police that without being so burdensome on the consumer that we really, you know, we put them in a deeper hole? Did you understand? I guess I missed it. And I asked it both of
Say
you.
drug test.
I'll put his muzzle.
I'm not. Stranger circle.
Okay.
Okay, that's my question. Is anybody, can we do that, or is it
Want to
gonna?
respond, do you want to respond to that?
I would hate to see you put people in more of a desperate situation and put them down. I mean, I agree with you, it's a nice spot, and
But the
you know, some
ramifications-
documents might be good, but I don't know, I mean, you can't protect people from themselves all the time, and so there's a certain amount that are gonna go ahead and buy it. And the outlaw today, people are still gonna go to the internet and do it. They're still gonna go to the offshore things, and they're still gonna go to the guy in the alley that you know, they can get it from. And so, you know, you just can't protect all the people, all the stuff, hard to try.
All right, any further questions of this witness? Representative Crawford,
To what?
proceed.
Thank you for being here. I just want to, I mean, I probably won't do you any good, but I just want to give you a perspective as a banker also. I was a banker for a long time. I made many, many loans, and your 36% is unreasonable. I will tell you that. I made loans. Back in the day, we would make small loans at banks. They did not want us to do it. It cost us approximately, way back then, $50 to book a loan. We lost money on every single one of them that we did. Banks don't want to do this type of lending. Furthermore, a lot of the people that will get these loans aren't gonna qualify for a bank loan anyway, but I just wanna tell you, I've made numerous loans, you can throw darts at me all day long, that were 200, 300, 400, 500, 600%. Because you've gotta look at the length of time, you've gotta look at the risk, and nobody is gonna loan somebody $100 for $1 unsecured. They're just not gonna do it, the risk is not worth it. So I just want you to at least think about that 36%, because you're gonna put a whole lot of people out of business, because they're gonna go away. They're not gonna, the industry will go away at something like this. And you might also wanna think about the 10,000 plus people that work at places like this in the state. That's another one also. And I'm not saying that, you know, you're gonna look at one over the other, but that's another thing to consider, I think. But I just, as a banker, I made loans all day long, and I just wanna tell you, you can't just put all your stock in the percentage rate. You've gotta look at it. I think the rollover function of this bill is a great idea. I think that's where a lot of people got into trouble. I think this bill does a lot for is gonna help the people that you're talking about a lot. But I would just like to ask you to get off of the 36%. It is just, it's not feasible. Thank you.
All right,
Chairman, can I make one comment?
yes.
There are a few states that have it at 36%, but they charge a fee for filing for the loan. So there's an application fee of $25 or $35 or $50 to fill out the paperwork for the loan. So it can, one way or another, I mean, like you said, Representative, it has to be done. And you will find some states that say, yes, we have a cap of 36%, but they have an application fee which drives it up. And it's all, and this puts it all black and white. They put it up on the letter or sign in there.
Right.
This shall cost you
Another
$15
good
a
point.
hundred.
Yes, they're gonna know exactly
But
what.
there are
they're-
application
yes.
fees with a lot of states, and so when you start looking at some, say, oh, we only charge 36%, well, yeah, but there's a $25 or $50 application fee.
Right.
All right, ma'am, thank you very much for your testimony here today.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else wishing to testify in opposition? Seeing none, is there anyone here who wishes to testify for informational purposes only? Seeing none, this concludes the hearing on
Thank
Senate
you
Bill
all very much.
694.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Senator.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to turn the chair over to the vice chair, Representative Brown.
We will now hear House Bill 2130, sponsored by Representative Duggar, and please begin when you're ready.
All right, thank you, Madam Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Tony Duggar. I represent 141st District. Today, I bring you House Bill 2130. And House Bill 2130 deals with open-end credit, and it clarifies and defines the practice of open-end credit under Missouri statutes. Currently, under Statute 408, 100 to 140, is essentially a catch-all for all loans that don't follow under any other provision. So simply what we're doing with this bill is we're setting up a new section to specifically define the open-end credit practice and laws. They're going to mirror basically the same thing that's currently in statute. Some of the statutes don't apply to open-end, so they're not going to be carried over to this new statute. But what we're doing is setting up a statute specifically for open-end credit. And with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, is there anyone to testify? Well, I'm sorry. Is there anyone to have questions of the sponsor of this bill? Representative Gessner.
Could you give us an example maybe of what an open-ended, i.e.,